Are you not maximizing your disc golf potential? This video is for you. Hey guys, thank you guys so much for tuning in. As always, make sure to shop at Infinite Discs. That's sold out, but the Finish Line discs on there are still available. Squatch bags, go to squatchdiscgolf.com. Get your Drew Gibson signature bag. If you're not interested in a Drew bag, please use code DREW. It'll save you $20 at checkout. Thank you guys so much. Let's get right into the video. Hello, welcome back to another video in the beautiful studio. Not a disaster at all. Brand new, perfect TV. Hopefully this can help you guys. This is, I've been giving a lesson locally, and I've been seeing a lot of questions about this actually, whether it's on my Instagram polls or in the comments, is like more efficient or better arm usage, right? Because I always like to say, we don't have a golf club, we don't have a hockey stick, we don't have a baseball bat, right? We're the lever, and this is the object that needs to go that way. So how do we do that? How do we kind of get that body working together in that timing, right? And so I've talked about the footwork, I've talked about the hips, I've talked about the upper body. And I think my last video is kind of about keeping the arm on plane, but it's not really breaking it down in terms of how to get more distance without really changing that much. And the goal today is to explain how I think you could maybe upgrade some things without a whole bunch of change. So number one is going to be your tempo, right? I see a lot of players where as they get trying to throw harder, right, the 100-foot shot, they have pretty good smooth tempo, right? It's the I throw 300, but this hole's 330, and they really try to rip it, right? The problem is that their tempo becomes really bad, right? They start using their feet faster. Their kind of upper body starts to kind of get over their lower body, which again is going to create that like weird pull, not kind of pushing off that back leg, not really bracing correctly, right? So bad tempo or being too fast to the end of the tee or like in a race doesn't create the best results or the best form. And now here's the thing. James Conrad flies off the end of the tee pad, right? I would say his tempo is too fast because he's not getting that brace and stopping and exploding through the shot. Well, the guys won the USCGC and the World Championship and played really good for a lot of years. So these things aren't me saying it's impossible to do anything good if you do it this way, right? My whole point is that not very many people can throw like James Conrad and have success with that style of throw, I guess you could say. So I'm trying to teach you guys, the normal Joe, the easiest, most efficient way in order to kind of make your existing form just a little bit better. So, hey guys, very quickly, if you're enjoying these videos, please comment down below a topic or something you would like me to talk about in the next episode. Thank you guys so much. Enjoy the show. Tempo. Let's keep the same tempo, right? I mean, you see Anthony Barella, you know, it's like he can throw from 0 to probably 500 feet without really going much faster, right? He starts throwing 600, 650, 700. He speeds up his tempo, takes a longer run up, maybe even does a 360. So there's a point for everybody where you can maintain the same tempo, and as you do these other things better, that main tempo, maybe you only add, 7% or whatever, or 10%, but that goes from 300 to 330. So stopping your body, which is kind of what I just touched on, but I think that this is very important, right? Like you see all the best players in the world, especially the furthest players, we all get to this like point here where we're no longer flying forward, right? We get this momentum, whether, it's a longer shot and you're kind of, I'm going to call it running, even though it's not the correct term, but it's called a run up, I guess. So where you're briskly going into your throw, and all the furthest people, who take a longer run up and kind of prepare to throw further, they're still hitting that like stop brace point and getting that into the disc, right? No, nobody's throwing it far doing this, unless you're jump putting. Again, an AB can jump put it very far. But for the most part, you need to stop your body. And the brace, front leg, this leg, that leg, right? Like I've explained this. If you go back a few videos, I have the baseball swing video. I think Shohei Ohtani is the thumbnail if you want to go watch that. I talk about the brace, and I talk about kind of the back leg and why I think it matters. But that's not for this video. It's just you need to find a way to stop your body, right? And I personally think that this is a really good position to be in terms of stopping that body to where you're getting these hips involved, and that's going to be the bulk of this segment, right, is using these hips. In golf, you know, the hips kind of start that downswing. In hockey, downswing. You know, baseball, you know, you don't see somebody going and then using their hips, right? It's this load, boom, hips, arms follow. What that does is that creates that like lag in power. And like I said, in golf, that lag, in baseball, that little bit of lag kind of helps you get that whip, right? This motion. In disc golf, we don't have a utensil, right? So you got to create that lag with this arm. So it's the same thing as a golf club coming down. You create this lag where the club head's back here, your hands are forward, and you're compressing the ball. That's lag in golf. Lag in disc golf is where your hips are kind of in front of the disc and your arm for a little bit, because that's what's going to create that whip motion once you get here, right? You whip it. You want the fastest part of your throw to be out front, right? Because if I just use my arm and not my hips, I can pull pretty quick to here, but now it's like, look, I have no space. There's no space here. And where do I go from here, right? It's like really hard to stay on line. To where if I get in a nice athletic position and I go here and I kind of let my hips kind of start this move, now I'm here. I have, again, plenty of space here, so I'm not pulling into myself. You get them in this position, and then from here, as soon as that rib cage kind of, your elbow passes your rib cage, you kind of end up having this nice area where then you let that arm snap. And again, that's allowing that arm to kind of be in this position the whole way. And then once your elbow passes that rib cage, you get that lag and that pop. So in my opinion, people aren't using the hips correctly and in the correct timing. And again, the reason I put the hips last, even though I think it's number one, is because your tempo needs to be good, right? You need to have a nice solid foundation. You need to be getting into the throw and getting into everything nice and smooth, and you can't rush it. And again, if you go too slow, you might gain some consistency and some accuracy, but I don't think you're going to reach your max potential of the combo, right? I don't think you're going to get distance and control with a super, super slow run-up, right? I think you sacrifice the distance for the control, but I don't think that, you know, unless you have, you know, you're throwing 500 feet, you don't really have that enough distance to spare to knock it down, you know, 20% by being super slow and methodical, right? You see the tempo for most of the best players in the world, you know, you take the top 50 players, a lot of our tempo is going to be pretty similar, right? There's the outliers like James Conrad, you know, and there's people that are a little bit faster and a little bit slower, you know, because you have one side of the spectrum where it's James Conrad, and you have the other side of the spectrum, which is Paul Oman. Not that Paul Oman is an MPO top 50 player of the year, but he did win the age-protected World Championship this year, so worth mentioning. But as I mentioned, I do think that hip kind of creating that lag here, pop going forward, is going to be your best bet. I do think, again, that tempo and then stopping the body, right? Because, again, the worst thing you can do is have really good form and then get here, then you're just going like that over the line, kind of using this front leg, you know, and you're going past the line over the front of the tee pad. You know, you want to be creating this motion here where you're bracing and kind of using this hip and this knee and the leg to kind of work into it and release the disc. So hopefully this is something that helped you. Please let me know. Drop a comment down below. Maybe suggest the next video. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'm Drew Gibson, and I will see you in the next one.